So you are lifting weights, but you're not really getting the results that you want. For example, you want to get stronger, but your training is actually for muscular endurance. So in this video, I'm going to explain the key differences of how to train for strength, muscle building, and muscular endurance. So let's get started. Hi, my name is Łukasz. I'm a coach and I help busy people lose fat, build muscle, and improve their performance with practical and sustainable strategies. So I wanted to do this video because I have seen people, especially during bootcamp classes, doing resistant exercises with very light weights for many repetitions with very short breaks between the exercise or even no breaks between the exercise, where they're transitioning from a resistant exercise to a cardio exercise like jumping jacks, burpees, and things like that in a circuit fashion, in a very quick pace. And they think that just because they're lifting some weights, they're automatically working on strength. But that's not necessarily true, because strength training, muscle building, or muscular endurance training requires different frequencies, different volume, different intensities, different execution of those exercises. So that's what I want to explain in this video. Let's start with strength training. So definition of strength training is using resistant exercises to create central nervous system adaptation so your muscles can recruit more motor units and muscle fibers to produce more force or to be stronger. And strength training is going to allow you to get stronger without necessarily making your muscles bigger. For strength training, exercise selections are typically movements that are multi-joint, multi-muscle compound movements that's going to allow you to lift heavy weights, use many muscles, big muscles with a bigger range of motion. So we're looking at things like squat, deadlift, bench press, pull-ups. Repetitions and set for strength training are 3 to 6 reps per exercise with intensity around 85 to 95% of your 1 rep max, 3 to 6 sets per exercise. The rest for strength training is a little bit longer, around 2 to 5 minutes, to let your body recover so you can have productive set and lift heavier weights. And the frequency of training is 2 to 4 times a week, depending on the individual experience and needs and the ability to recover. And those are not set in stone rules, but those are general guidelines. The way we can split strength training is we can focus on full body training, upper or lower body training, or we can break down to movements such as day 1 squat focus, day 2 a pressing motion focus, and day 3 pulling focus. The way we progressively overloading or challenging our program when we're working on strength is typically primarily by increasing the weight on the barbell. We can increase the reps as well, but we don't want to go to the range where we're doing 10, 15, 20 reps, because that's not strength training zone. That's a different type of adaptation. So we're typically focusing on increasing the weight, and that strength training is very popular amongst powerlifters or strongmen. And when we're doing strength, we're also using accessory exercises or supplemental exercises with higher volume that are not necessarily for strength, but they can also benefit our performance in a different way. So that's strength training. Hypertrophy training or muscle building training focuses on stimulating muscles for cellular growth. And we're accomplishing that with moderate to high volumes, moderate repetitions, moderate intensities to create mechanical tension, muscle breakdown, and metabolic stress for cellular adaptation, so your muscles are getting bigger. The exercise selections for muscle building is a combination of compound movements and isolation movements. The rep ranges, frequencies, and overall volume for hypertrophy is higher comparing to strength. For hypertrophy, we're looking around 2 to 3 times per week to train each muscle group, 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. And we're looking at 6 to 30 repetitions per exercise, but I personally like to be around 6 to 18 reps per muscle group or per exercise, because we're doing a lot of reps. It's not very time efficient, especially if you have a work, career, family. You don't want to spend hours and hours on the gym. So for me, 6 to 18 reps is more time efficient. I think it's also beneficial for hypertrophy training to vary the rep ranges, where we can mix them between low reps to high reps. I think that's the optimum way for hypertrophy training. The rest period for hypertrophy training is around 30 to 90 seconds, can be a little bit longer, but that's the general average. And intensity is around 65 to 85% of your 1 rep max on average. So we're still training relatively heavy, but it's not as heavy as strength training. Another part of hypertrophy training is important to create time under tension, where we're controlling the movement, especially the eccentric portion of the lift. We want to make sure that we have a full range of motion, good mind-muscle connection, good stretch and pump in the muscle. Those are very important factors for muscle building. And we want to train close to failure. What we're using for determine the intensity is RIR, or reps in reserves. That means, let's say you did a squat with 100 pounds for 10 reps, but you could do 13. That means you have 3 reps left in the tank. So for hypertrophy, I believe the good zone is be around 3 or less reps in reserve, where we're training close to failure or close to 0 reps in reserve. That's not necessary, but that's in type of a zone we want to be for optimal muscle growth. Muscle endurance training focuses on using resistant exercises to improve your ability to sustain prolonged contractions or repetitive effort. This type of training involves light to moderate weights, moderate to high repetitions and volumes, and short rest periods. This type of training is great for athletes like cyclists, swimming, boxers, things like that. Exercises selections can be anywhere between calisthenics or body movements like push-ups, pull-ups, or explosive dynamic movements like kettlebell swings, squat jumps, burpees, or even compound movements like goblet squats, presses for high repetitions with short rest periods. Training frequency for muscular endurance is around 2 to 4 times per week. Intensity, 30 to 70% of your 1 rep max. And rep ranges can be anywhere between 12 to 20 plus reps per exercise. And the rest periods are between 15 to 60 seconds, 2 to 4 sets per exercise. I think that's a good range for muscular endurance. And the way we can progressively overload or challenge ourselves for muscular endurance training is by increasing the repetitions, taking shorter rest periods, increasing the time. We can use different methodologies of training for muscular endurance, such as AMRAP, as many reps as possible, or EMOM, every minute on the minute. And that type of training is gonna enhance your muscular endurance and your ability for repetitive movement over time without fatigue. So how do you decide what type of training is for you? It really depends on your goals. If your primary goal is to get stronger, let's say you're a power lifter or strength athlete, obviously you're going to be focusing more on strength training. If you want to build muscle or you are inspired bodybuilder, obviously your focus should be on muscle building. Or if you want to improve your endurance because you are a competitive athlete, then maybe you should focus on muscular endurance. But it really depends of what is your primary goal. And you can also combine those two things together. You can blend strength training with muscle building. You can also blend muscular endurance with muscle building training. So you can combine different energy systems together. However, you have to keep in mind that some of those energy systems are completely contradictory. If you want to be as strong as possible and you're also doing muscular endurance, then that's going to impact your strength training. You're not going to be as strong as you could be if you're just focusing on strength and muscle building. Or if you're just focusing on strength, you're not going to be able to build as much muscle as you could if you're just focusing on muscle building. So I hope this video was valuable. Let me know in the comments, what is your main goal? Is it strength, muscle building, or muscular endurance? And please click one of those videos here on the side that YouTube recommends for more nutrition and training content. And we'll see you on the next video.